mean, here he is blatantly saying what I've suspected. This person is loyal and treats me like the head of the household. And if you really want to be a wife to me, this is how you need to be.
What if all that you thought in every promise, every shared aspiration proved to be constructed on shaky ground? We saw JanelleBrown for years smilingly occupy her space in a family that boasted of cohesion. She managed budgets conformed to rules and avoided the limelight. She was not loud. She was not flamboyant. She was consistent, solid, the type of woman who kept things going while others took the headlines. But behind that unassuming strength was a mounting unease, a creeping sinking sensation that something wasn't right. And now that sensation has turned into something much larger, a legal reckoning that's pulling back the curtain on the very bedrock of the Brown family. This isn't about money, it's about trust, about years of quietly spoken doubts that were never voiced about what happens when the glue that bonds a family together begins to fray at the edges from the pressure of secrets. At the heart of it all, is Janelle finally finished keeping her mouth shut with an attorney by her side and years of fiscal questions finally rising to the surface? She's demanding answers. Where did the money go? Who was really in control, and why did one household keep profiting while the others languished? And then, of course, there's Robyn, so long seen as the peacemaker, the quiet one, the loyal one. But with the numbers made public, that's a perception that's beginning to shift. Was she really oblivious all along, or did she just keep her mouth shut because silence was an advantage to her? And Cody says it was all a misunderstanding, that they all had access, that no one was excluded. But his words sound hollow to the women who once trusted him to lead equitably. It's an as old as time story, really, about individuals who wish to believe the best of people, even when the facts tell them otherwise, about good intentions that sneakily slide toward bad choices, about what we're willing to turn a blind eye to in the spirit of family until we can't turn a blind eye anymore. Perhaps you've been in a similar situation yourself. Perhaps you've maintained the peace for too long, trusted too hard, or remained quiet, when in your gut you knew something wasn't right. If so, then you'll get why this story cuts differently. Because this isn't just another family imploding on TV. This is about loyalty loss and figuring out how to stand after standing by for all those years. And as the confessions become courtrooms and the sister and sister wives becomes more of a legal designation than an affectionate connection, one thing is certain. Janelle is no longer walking away. She's walking toward the truth. So grab a seat, friend. Let's walk through what actually went down behind the scenes and why the tale you thought you knew was all just the tip of the iceberg. JanelleBrown has hit her breaking point after years of holding her tongue, swallowing her frustration, and having her money dissolve into a joint family fund. She no longer feels comfortable with JanelleBrown, has finally had enough, and she's not just complaining, she's doing something about it in a shocking turn of events that's causing waves in the Sister Wives fan community. Janelle has hired an attorney and is now requesting a complete financial audit of the Brown family's joint account. And there's one person, it just won't stop talking about RobynBrown. Insiders and many eagle-eyed viewers have spotted something. A Miss Robyn appears to be having a tough time explaining just where all that cash ended up. But this is more than dollars and cents. It's the climax of years of strain, of promises broken in the name of plural marriage. Now those promises are unspooling, not in family councils, but in courtrooms and sobbing confessional booths. And with the Coyote past property still keeping the family in a financial bond together. What initially seemed like a collective dream of unification now looks more and more like a war zone littered with betrayal, denial, and lost money. The calm before the storm, it wasn't supposed to come to this. Janelle was always referred to as the level-headed, event-impaired wife, the one who made it happen behind the scenes. She managed the book's monitored spending and allowed Kody to be the provider without ruffling the feathers for years. She flew quietly under the radar, keeping things afloat. But now, in her own terms, she's had to confront something she didn't want to accept: lots of money for being withdrawn from the communal account. And she had no idea why she's not brushing it off as a misunderstanding anymore. And she's not letting Kody spin the tale to imply that she was in control. Because now that Janelle's lawyer has entered the scene with legal documents, this is no longer a family feud, it's payback. And once that document landed on the table, all bets were off. The finger-pointing begins. Kody might have waved off Janelle's concerns before using his standard get-out-of-jail-free card of being the father of 18 kids. But now those excuses no longer hold much water. Robyn, self-proclaimed as never dipping her toes into the family's financial affairs, is now under suspicion. And if Janelle's audit finds so much as one dubious payment, one transaction that seems to go to Robyn's house while the others weren't aware is discovered, things are apt to quickly get out of hand, and they are suspicious. The timing, the silence, the evasive responses, none of it rings true from dream to disappointment. It's difficult to imagine that the very same financial system Janelle is now disputing was the center of the Brown family dream early on in SisterWives Kody, and the wives openly boasted about themselves as a single front one, large merged family with a single bank account. Everything they earned went into the same pool spent on groceries, mortgages, school tuition, and even vacations. They referred to it, "That's our money." But now that sentence seems nearly ironic along the way. Our money began to feel like his. It didn't come about overnight. It crept up on us slowly, beginning with backroom decisions, then mysterious withdrawals, and finally outright secrecy that made Janelle feel excluded from the very system she helped create. She told Christine that in the early days, there was a process: everyone got input on what was spent and how the money was spent. What bills came first, what needed to be taken care of. It wasn't straightforward, but at least it seemed equitable. That equity didn't magically disappear from Janelle's perspective. It was stolen piece by piece, and from whom parts of the narrative are recanted. The actual script revisited. She says it was Kody. He would just withdraw cash. Janelle explained simply, and I have no idea for what. That single sentence punched fans in the gut. This wasn't merely the stray splurge or lost receipt. This was thousands of dollars withdrawn without cause. And allegedly responsible for the books had no authority, no control, and no answers. Trust broken, the really hurtful part.
To hear that Kody is telling Janelle that the boys need to apologize to me, I didn't know he was doing that. I just want to clear the air with the boys. I love those boys.
Janelle had faith in the process. She had faith that it would all come out okay in the end. But now, with time distance and an attorney on speed dial, she is watching it for what it truly was: a scheme to give Kody sole authority, with the rest of them possessing just enough access to keep them from feeling left out until the rug was yanked out from beneath them. I was just too trusting, she confessed on tape. And it wasn't only her money that went missing, it was her trust, her feeling of safety, and the understanding that they were all really in it together. Now Janelle's beginning to doubt the whole premise of their polygamous marriage, and Robyn's part in it, that could be even more complicated than anyone could have dreamed. Kody's version: ask Kody, and he'll assure you this is all one huge misunderstanding in his account. Janelle was the one managing the book's writing checks, keeping track of expenses. He says he was just a busy dad of 18, juggling a crazy household, while Janelle managed the numbers, and for a long time, that account appeared to hold. But now that the financial haze is dissipating and there's legal action afoot, Janelle isn't simply fighting back. She's pulling back the curtain. Interview, that entire notion that she ran the money a smoke ox screen. He loves this narrative where I was the powerful one in charge of all the money, she explained, in confession, getting frustrated. But honestly, I was just recording the money and sending it over to the CPA, that's it. No power, no control, just a fancy secretary. While that was going on, Kody was reportedly making the actual money decision, never bothering to consult the women who were paying for that account. And here's where things really become fuzzy if Janelle had no idea what the money was being spent on. And Mary didn't either. Then who did? Because someone had to be included, and now all fingers are pointing to Robyn, the silent partner, or the quiet strategist for the last few seasons of Sister Wives. Robyn has remained at arm's length from the family's increasing financial. She's been the emotional peacemaker, seldom raising her voice, and financial issues, rarely questioning Kody about spending, and often sitting silently while other wives spoke up. But now that money puzzle pieces are being laid out, and many of them directly toward Kody's inner circle audiences, are beginning to ask a tough question. Was Robyn really not in on what was happening, or was she playing long game? Critics are raising an eyebrow. And the trend is, it's becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Christine departed and the financial framework was altered. Janelle also departed and it broke further apart. And now with Mary also reportedly seeking legal assistance, the scrutiny is intensifying. Robyn might have managed to sidestep open conflict. But as the questions about money become louder, her silence is now speaking loudly. And if Janelle's review creates a paper trail of mysterious expenditures connected to Robyn's home, the consequences could be staggering. One line that changed everything. It was a revelation that made even longtime watchers gasp, in a confession that read more like sworn affidavit and less like reality TV catchphrase. Janelle spoke bluntly, "Kody W. just withdraw money, and I have no idea what for, and it wasn't merely a few dollars missing here and there. She insisted, lots of it." That sentence didn't just raise an eyebrow, it lowered jaws, 'cause lots of it doesn't sound like someone paying for electricity or picking up milk. It sounds like tens of thousands of dollars spent without anyone else in the household being brought into the loop. Now the gloves are off. That's what Janelle's attorneys are determined to find out, what happened to the money that's at the root of the audit. Kody says it was all on the up and up. We all had access to the account. He said, but Janelle has a very different scenario. She claims not just that she had no real say in how the account was used, but that she didn't even know where the money was going. And if this account was as open and honest as it's being made out to be, fans are wondering, why did Robyn's home appear to be the only one that was doing well, while the others were trimming back? Viewers haven't forgotten while Christine, Janelle, and Mary were living off the fat and scaling back. Robyn's house had a different message. New furniture renovations on the house, upgrades that didn't quite reflect the rest of the family's financial downturn. And it wasn't so much about what was purchased, it was how it was purchased. The problem isn't just spending, it's the secrets. Janelle denies ever authorizing those withdrawals. In fact, she didn't even know that they were taking place. No one was providing explanations. Not Kody, not the family bookkeeper, and definitely not Robyn with lawyers in the mix. Now, all of those lingering questions and missing entries on the ledger aren't just warning signs, they're becoming actual liabilities. This audit is more than just reconciling receipts. It's about exposing a system that, in Janelle's words, was manipulated, a system in which certain family members were kept in the dark, while others, likely at least one, gained secretly behind their backs. And this is what hurts the most. If there was one wife in that family who lived by the rules, it was Janelle. She had faith in the system. She signed the paperwork. She hoped that Kody would make the right decision. But now that she's finally demanding the tough questions, it's also increasingly evident her faith may have been misplaced, and the one who appeared to benefit the most, while everyone else was told to stand in line, was Robyn. What if the audit validates the fans? Janelle's audit ultimately verifies what everyone has suspected all along, that Robyn's home was secured. Well, the other wives saw their funds dwindle. Then Janelle won't be alone in seeking explanations, because beneath all the drama, one thing is keeping this complicated drama on course, dirt, literally. The Arizona property at Coyote, past the very site once touted as the key to the Brown family's future, has turned into a time bomb waiting to explode. What began as a communal dream with both wives promised their own slice of heaven has become slowly and painfully a battlefield of lawyers' regret recrimination and disputed accounts of what actually occurred today, with attorneys on board and emotions at a fever pitch. That land is not land, it's leverage, it's the last thread that holds.
I'm not telling Janelle to be more like Robyn. I'm telling Janelle just to be loyal. I have 100% loyalty from Robyn. So, okay, I guess that's like Robyn.
Janelle marry Kody and Robyn together, and no one's gonna walk away with their hands empty. What they thought they'd stayed owned and what they might lose. Janelle claims she paid for her portion out of money from the family account. Mary claims the same, and up until recently, both assumed they were each owed equal shares of the property. But this is where the story begins to fall apart. Kody is now saying that's not what went down. He says he paid for one of the lots himself, most of it anyway, and the rest was a collective effort. But if that were the case, why wasn't everything formalized to begin with? Why weren't the deeds properly taken care of? Why was Christine's name erased only after she returned her portion to Kody and Robyn? And why is Mary and Janelle just now coming to the realization that they needed to push more to get legal documents and writing for Janelle? It's never about money. It's about closure. That property is her final tie to a man she doesn't trust anymore, and a family arrangement that no longer seems equitable. She said herself she wants to leave, but she's not leaving. Broke, I thought it would all just work out. Janelle told a confessional in hindsight. Now I'm like, wow, that was stupid. Why didn't we get on all the deeds? That's self-resources. It's currently driving her legal battle because absent written contracts and clear titles, it's all about memories, verbal assurances, and trust. And trust right now is an extremely limited supply. Even Mary is getting doubts. Mary defended Kody and Robyn for long, even justifying their decisions. But now even she has started doubting everything she says. She's owed her fair share of the land. And while Robyn continues to insist that she's always been in Mary's corner, the truth is no one really knows where anyone stands anymore, who paid what, who owns what, and who may have quietly taken advantage while others were trying to keep the dream alive. Janelle's audit could uncover much more than questionable expenses. It could unveil the entire Coyote Pass power struggle. And if that's the case, Robyn's involvement could come under even closer scrutiny. Robyn's silence is no longer comforting. Robyn was once the wife who stayed out of the money fights, while the others argued over bills and bank statements. Robyn hung back, diplomatic, emotional, and rarely questioned until now, because as Janelle's lawyers dig deeper, Robyn's years of silence aren't coming across as innocence anymore. To many, it seems strategic, and the longer this continues, the more fans are beginning to ask themselves, was Robyn quietly profiting while everyone else burned out? The optics are difficult to ignore. Janelle lived in an RV. Christine sold her house and scaled back. Mary gave up her property as well. Robyn's household, on the other hand, appeared unscathed. Larger, more lavish, and decidedly more secure as scrutiny mounts on how the family's finances, where he actually managed viewers, have been asking the obvious, why did Robyn always appear to be in the black? And perhaps more importantly, what did she know and when did she know it? Public denials and private doubts publicly. Robyn insists she's done nothing wrong in a recent confessional. She became emotional, saying, I always had Mary's back even when people were plotting against her. But Mary isn't buying it anymore. She's now openly questioning whether that bond with Robyn was ever real. To begin with, why say you want it? That's what Mary asked on camera, and the message couldn't have been more explicit. She wasn't simply discussing distance, she was discussing betrayal for Mary Robyn's silence at the time of talking about property, and money has come to be interpreted in a more hurtful way. Conditional loyalty, and that's precisely what's causing so many longtime viewers to feel discomfort rather than providing straightforward answers or cold facts. Robyn has adhered to emotional appeals, plenty of tears, plenty of introspections, but very little illumination. There is still no genuine explanation about whether Robyn's family received more financial assistance than the others, or how her share of Coyote Pass property was taken care of behind the scenes, only ambiguous words and changing tales. But in the court of public opinion, and quite possibly a genuine court in the near future, that might not be sufficient for if Janelle's audit reveals a pattern of spending that benefited Robyn's family. Even in a non-deliberate way, feelings won't suffice. Robyn will have to account for the arithmetic simple and unvarnished, and now with Mary lining up her own legal battle, this is no longer suspicion. It's turning into a serious test. Mary Brown joins the fight for years. Mary was the holdout, the one wife who remained faithful to Kody, even when things got tough, who gave Robyn the benefit of the doubt, and who continued to try to keep the family together. But that Mary, she's disappeared now. Mary is joining the battle, and this time she's not using mysterious social media hints or half-alleged disappointments. She's hiring an attorney, and if Mary Brown is willing to do that, you can be sure the pain runs deep. It didn't take overnight. There was the tension involving the Coyote Pass property first, then a little burst of rage in her confessionals, and lastly, what we now know was being done secretly behind the scenes, Mary planning legal action in the newest trailer. Her voice shakes as she speaks. There's a few things I will fight for, and this is one of them. She's discussing her portion of Coyote Pass, but it's not just property, it's about pride. It's about not feeling like an afterthought any longer, and it's about seeing beyond the smoke and mirrors that led her to feel she didn't deserve to speak out for herself. The real turning point.
It frustrates me beyond belief that he perceives this one wife, this one relationship, as she's so perfect, she's such a saint, she was so nice to us.
What turned Mary around as she explained it, it was realizing how much she had been manipulated emotionally, financially, personally. She remembered a discussion in which Kody explained to her that she didn't deserve an equal stake in the land because they only shared one child. The message was cold-blooded, less children, less rights. And although there may have been a point Mary would have taken that explanation, that point passed a long time ago. She stopped pretending that reason matters. But it wasn't only Kody's words that hurt. It was Robyn's silence. Mary had always thought they had a special connection. She stood by Robyn even when the rest of the world didn't. She had been there during family conflicts. She had given and been cast aside. When things began to unravel, why tell me you want a relationship? She demanded again, and then ghost me. That ghosting wasn't only an emotional occurrence, it occurred when it came to property choices, money matters, and all the times Mary needed support. The most shut out, shut off, and now shut out with no option. Mary lawyered up to defend herself. The walls are closing in with both Janelle and Mary, threatening to bring legal action into the mix. The heat is on. What started with one woman discreetly inquiring what happened to the money has now escalated to two women insisting on the truth. And if Robyn imagined she could remain in the shadows and have Kody take the flag, she might have a rude surprise waiting for her because the light is changing, and this time it's shining directly on her. The confessional battlefield. There once was a time when those private confessionals seemed like a sanctuary, a place where the Brown family members could reflect, process, and tell the truth. But now they've become a battlefield. Individual by individual family members have come before the camera, not to reveal but to defend, to accuse, to revise history, and to claim their side of the tale. Janelle in her placid yet acidic disclosures, Mary her voice laced with pain from betrayal, Kody all smirks and shrugs, and Robyn in her weepy and evasive tirades. It's less about healing and more about surviving. At this point, KodyBrown is standing by his protestations, attempting to rewrite history in the moment. In one recent scene, he throws up his hands and offhandedly says, "I'm not trying to rip you off, Mary." The line may have felt off the cuff to him, but to viewers and to Mary, it was condescending, even hurtful, because the truth is, Mary never witnessed anything remotely like the financial support Robyn's home seemed to enjoy, and Kody's concern doesn't seem to be making things clear. It's about clearing himself of culpability. He's repeating his old mantra that everyone had equal access to the family account, that the wives simply did not understand how the land payments were made, and that is, motives were always good intentions. But here's the catch. It's not only what he's telling us, it's what he isn't. Still no explanation of where the funds actually ended up. Still no clear answer as to why Robyn's family lived financially well, while the others did not. And perhaps most revealing, still no genuine apology. Robyn's emotional shield, Robyn, on the other hand, is not providing numbers. She's providing sentiment in her most recent confessionals. She discusses loyalty. She describes being there for Mary, about trying to keep the family intact. But when asked the tough questions, who controlled the money, who stood to gain the most, who actually made financial decisions, she evades them, and that silence is growing louder and sounding a great deal like strategy, because even if Robyn never requested more than her equal share, there's one question she hasn't addressed. Did she accept it once? It began to occur. Janelle and Mary are done staying silent. Janelle, for instance, has had enough of being presented as a family accountant, the one who allegedly maintained the purse strings and by proxy the guilt. If I had the money, she told him bluntly, we would have paid off Coyote Pass and built a house. That statement stinks, both because it's logical, but also because it appends Kody's long-held narrative. Mary's not sitting in silence anymore. Either she's fighting back, not wanting to be erased from discussions about money, just because her romance with Kody ran out. What we're witnessing here isn't merely a family falling apart, it's a public disintegration with everyone struggling to manage their version of the truth. And if Janelle's audit discovers even a single hidden lie behind those carefully crafted confessionals, someone's version of the truth might go up in smoke, high stakes off camera. Let's be real. Janelle didn't bring in a lawyer just to rock some boats. She wants answers. Genuine answers. Answers that might change the Brown family legacy for the better. At the heart of her legal campaign is one such question: where did the money go? But her lawyer is drilling deeper than merely bank accounts. They're asking for the whole picture: bank record, CPA reports, spending entries, the whole financial trail. And if what they uncover suggests funds were misused or funneled into just one household, especially Robyn's, it won't just be uncomfortable. It could be legally serious, because if shared family funds were used in a way that only benefited one wife, it could be seen as financial misrepresentation. Even if Robyn didn't move the money herself, if she knowingly benefited from it, there could be consequences. Mary's legal move changes everything. And now that Mary is putting together her own legal team, this isn't just about shared land anymore. Escalating Mary's fighting for her Coyote Pass share and for her portion of the family finances. And if both women go forward with formal legal action, it could mean asset division, repayment demands, and possibly civil litigation. This is no longer about just bruised egos. It's about legal repercussions that might haunt Kody and Robyn for years to come. Who actually had authority? Kody still maintains that Janelle should have known what was happening. She was the bookkeeper after all. But Janelle has a decidedly different story. According to her, she never had decision-making authority. Her role was to monitor what Kody decided, not sign off on it. That distinction might make a big difference in court. It doesn't depict Kody as a lost father, trying his best, but as one who abused the faith put in him, and Robyn, even if she never touched the family savings account, if she knowingly accepted the benefits and said nothing, she might still be culpable both in the public and possibly in the courts as well. This audit is more than just numbers. At this point, Janelle's audit is no longer about pie charts and spreadsheets. It's a loaded gun, and the truth that comes out may shake the very foundation of what remains of the Brown family. With each document,